Hello, Nico. Welcome to the live. You look so pretty. Thank you. I know what medical transitioning. What is social transitioning? It means it's basically coming out. Like when people knew me for 25 years of my life as a man, and social transition means coming into them and saying that, hey, no, actually, I'm a woman. It can mean changing the way you dress, changing your pronouns, changing your name. It's coming out to people. It's the social aspect, the way you interact with people. Hey, Valkyrie. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Amber. Amber Thane. How's it going? Hey there, Alley Cat. Brush my wig. I don't know why you want me to brush my wig, but there you go. Wig brushed. Hey there, AB. Doing good. You look stunning. Thank you. God would be ashamed? I'm sure he would. I don't know what you're specifically talking about, but hello, Cassidy. What do I get out of doing these lives? Fighting for my community. Did I get a new account? This is my primary backup. Thank you, Advocate Junkie. Did I see Ian destroy YKW? I don't know who either of those people are. Love from Charlotte, badass. Why can't I use the mints? I can. My argument would be that we should use the restroom that we are most comfortable with. I can use the men's restroom. I don't want to, and I'm not going to. It's not your comfort over women's comfort. Well, I'm part of that women's comfort that you're talking about, so yeah, I'm included in what you just said. I know you said you're ace, but do you find any physical attraction to women? Yeah, I believe I'm demisexual, which is when you first experience, you don't experience sexual attraction until you're first deeply romantically attracted to someone. If I use the men's restroom, I'd be putting myself in danger, correct. What color am I dyeing my hair next? You'll have to find out. Find out next Monday. So would you go into a women's restroom if a little girl went in there all to feel comfortable? Yes, I would absolutely use a women's... I would and have used a women's restroom with kids in there. When is the Halloween live with Mel? You missed it, Maya. You missed it. Didn't I just dye my hair recently? A few months ago. I think it was February. Am I considered straight after my surgery? No, I am not. I'm a lesbian. How long am I going to be on tonight? That is very much up in the air. How's it going, hot dog?
It's going.
Hope your night's going well. All right. So you like desensitizing safe and personal spaces for women and children? Well, first of all, no. Second of all, public bathrooms are not safe spaces. Yeah, so no. I'm not a threat to anyone. Why can't I use the men's restroom? I can. My argument would be that trans people should be able to use the restroom that we're most comfortable with. I am most comfortable with the women's restroom. As such, I use the women's restroom and will continue to do so. Dora, you look amazing as always. Thank you, Zach.
Just listen here, buddy.
Hello, Nolan. How you doing?
Good. If I ever catch
Hang on. Before you make a threat, how old are you?
20 years old.
20 years old. And what year were you born?
03. What's your
03. Fantastic. Okay. What's your take on the topic?
I just want to say God loves you, and no, if I ever catch you come out of the restroom or ever catch you trying to go into a women's restroom.
Yeah, we're not even going to go there. I love how you're saying that, Life of Lex, while I literally just got threatened. I got threatened. Who's the one who's a risk to people? Hello, Weeping Willow. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
I'm doing fantastic. Yes, I can. How old are you, please?
I am 21 years old.
21. And what year were you born?
2003. I just turned 21 in April. So
Fantastic.
I'm a newly 21-year-old.
All right. Which bathroom should I use?
That is up for discussion. Whatever you do feel comfortable with, then I do agree with it. However, I did have a question for you. My question is that I know that you did have a transition, which I'm glad that you were comfortable with, and I'm very proud of that. I'm not hating in any way when I ask this question. My question is that, like, this is genuine curiosity here. How do you declare yourself as a lesbian when you were a biological man at birth? Wouldn't that
I was
make...
never a man, first of all.
Okay. I apologize. I like I said, I'm really not trying to come off...
You're fine. I'm just correcting. That's all.
Or ignorant or argumentative. Like, I'm just genuinely so...
I'm not getting any hostility from you.
No, okay. Very good. I'm just very curious. So when you were born, you did not feel as if you were born male.
So I was born male. That's not something that I have any kind of say in. However, even though I was born male, I still knew on the inside that I was a woman.
Okay, and so what age did you come to the consensus of that?
So it's something that I recognized really young, around 4 or 5 years old. But I didn't really have a way to process that. I didn't have a way to
express that, right?
Yeah, right. Like I didn't even have a way to tell myself that truly. Like it's something that I knew, but it was a deep level of knowledge that I didn't even necessarily wasn't really able to externalize in any way. I wasn't able to externalize it until my early 20s.
Okay, so I want to tell a little bit about myself, if that's okay. So around 4 or 5 years old, my grandfather would put me in little boys' clothing. He dressed me in little boys' clothing. I would primarily hang around males when I was like in kindergarten, first grade, third grade. I've always kind of hung out with the males. I shaved half of my head. You know, I was declaring myself as bisexual. I didn't really knew what I was. I think when I was like 14 or 15 years old, I declared myself as asexual. But now, coming to the realization, like, I think I was just misguided when I was a child. Because my grandfather was trying to make me out to be a little tomboy or something like that. I hope that makes sense.
Sure. So I think what you're suggesting here is that gender identity can be influenced and it can't. Gender expression can be influenced, but who we are on the inside, that is unique to us. Nobody has any say over that.
Yes, user. I'm gonna comment misguided by wearing clothes. Z heart. Yes, I feel like I was misguided.
So,
I'm
please
not.
don't respond to comments. We're
The
up here.
conversation's between us.
I'm not saying that I was necessarily misguided. I think that I was probably put into the wrong category because I was I was wearing men's clothes when I was 5 years old. I wanted to wear dresses and I wanted to wear what I wanted to wear, but that was not something that my grandfather wanted me to wear. So I was not raised by my parents. I was raised by my grandfather.
Sure. So, but you still developed that identity of a girl, right?
Yes, I wanted to have. I was honestly like we're getting to the nitty gritty right now. I was more comfortable with wearing men's clothes. I really was,
Okay.
but I also feel like that was the influence that I had from my grandfather. Grandpa was kind of weird. No,
Okay. Weeping Willow, I gotta stop you from reading comments. You're gonna see every comment you could possibly imagine.
Okay.
If you talk to the comments, it's gonna be a whole different experience. The conversation's between us.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem. You're good. You're good. So, what point, or what's your concern here? What point are you trying to make?
The only question that I was asking is if you were, and again, I'm not trying to sound ignorant, argumentative in any type of way or offensive. If you declare yourself as lesbian, how, like, you born as male but have transitioned into a female, and again, this is probably going to sound ignorant. I really hope
It's okay to be ignorant as long as you're willing to learn.
I am very willing to learn. So my question is if you were born male, usually, typically, not everybody, but male tend to go towards females. So I'm just asking, if you transitioned into a female, would that make you a lesbian or would that make you demisexual? Which I remember hearing.
Those are not related. Question though, what does this have to do with the story that you told about how you were made to not wear women's clothing?
I'm sorry, say it again?
How does this relate to the story you told me just a moment ago?
The story that I'm trying to tell is that I feel like I could have possibly been misguided as a child. So that going into our conversation, do you feel like you were possibly misguided, or have you always felt that way?
Let's talk about that. So do you feel like someone was influencing you to be a boy?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Did you end up being a boy?
No.
Right. Your innate sense of self was not influenced by someone who was trying to maybe influence you to be a boy. You're still a girl. You're still a woman.
I've never felt that way. I felt like when I was, I have never felt that way as that I should be a male. But for a long time, just because of how I was raised, you know, my grandfather would talk to me as if I would be a little boy. He would call me bub. You know, instead of baby girl, he would call me bub, you know, so it's just, it seems like my grandfather was trying to raise a son instead of...
Okay. So your grandfather tried to influence you, which is a bad thing. No one should be trying to influence anyone's gender to be a specific way. But the point that I'm making here is that you still developed into a woman. Regardless of his influence, you developed into a woman because gender identity can't be influenced.
Okay. That does make sense.
Okay.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
We're on the same page here. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that was kind of the only question. I wanted to hear what you would have, coincided with what you necessarily think about my experience. I really do appreciate you allowing me on your live and talking with you. I've been following you for a while now. I see you on my For You page. So I do appreciate your time to talk with you. I really do appreciate everything that you have said to me and given me the advice. Well, not necessarily advice, but also that confirmation that, if I was persuaded as a young child, that's not something that should happen as a young child. That's something that...
Sure, no one should be trying to influence anyone's gender to be a specific way. That's problematic.
Right. If you feel that way, then you feel that way. That's something that you decide as your individual self.
And it's not a decision, but it's something you discover. Yeah.
Well, discover.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, not at all. I thank you. Yeah, I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm going to bring up the next guest in just a moment. If you all could tap that screen, that'd be appreciated. Don't forget that I am trying to fundraise for a family in Gaza to raise the money to help them get out. And if you want to help with that, you can click on my profile right up here. Click on my most recent video. My most recent video will have a link to the GoFundMe. We're trying to raise 30,000 euros. We're coming up on 2,000 euros. So thank you for everyone who has donated so far. It's greatly appreciated. And again, click on my profile, click on the first video, and the link will be in the description. Thank you for the sub. We have a sub wave going, guys. Hello, Lena. How you doing?
Hi, Adora. I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
27.
27. Fantastic. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, I was kind of just listening to the last guest, and I was just wondering about, like, how you identify. Would you say that it's a bit, like, fair, like, if a trans woman wanted to also identify as, like, pansexual rather than a lesbian, would that make sense?
A trans woman can be pansexual. A trans man can be pansexual. Anyone can be pansexual. Because don't forget, transgender talks about your relationship with sex and gender. It doesn't talk about your sexuality. Your sexuality is something else. So transgender people can be all the sexualities. Cisgender people can be all the sexualities.
Oh, I was just wondering because I know that, like, you're trans, you were born male. So I was just wondering, how does that kind of, like... I thought that sex is different from your gender. So your sex is male, you identify as a woman. So doesn't this kind of like conflate with homosexuality? And I'm a lesbian, by the way.
Again, your gender identity doesn't determine who you're attracted to. So I can be a trans woman who's exclusively attracted to men. I can be a trans woman who's exclusively attracted to women, etc., so on and so forth.
Oh, okay. I guess I see it as a little bit different.
What do you see?
I just thought that, like, it was female on female attraction. Like, to be lesbian.
So when you go on a date, do you ask someone their sex?
No, but I'm usually under the impression
there's something else that you're attracted to. It's you're not thinking about their genes. You're thinking about something else when we talk about attraction, right? Like there's something different there.
Right.
We don't care what their genetics say. We care about who they are. In some cases, we may care about how they look, etc. That kind of stuff.
So would you think that it's bad for trans women to disclose up front? Like, let's say if they're passing, they look like Blair White. Would that be, like, bad for them to just, like, disclose that openly?
It's up to them. We disclose when we want to disclose.
Okay. Because I was just thinking that kind of like LGB was a little bit separate from like trans identity. Like, I know what you're saying about like the whole chromosomes and stuff like that, but it would be kind of like surprising to not, have someone explain that up front? Like if you're in a dating app and you didn't tell them that, you're trans, like.
Again, it depends on the person. For some of us, disclosure is something we're going to want to do, and for some of us, it's not.
Adora, can you mod me real quick?
Are you planning on going after the Raiders?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about the Raiders. I'm literally in the middle of telling my mods not to block the Raiders right now.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah. God damn it. 1 second. Fuck. Okay, there we go. All right. Elena, I'm sorry, I didn't hear I don't remember what you said.
I was just saying, like, I thought it was a little bit different between like LGB and there's, I kind of see like T is a little bit separate, but you're saying that it's really not that different. I don't know. I view it differently, but yeah, that's all I wanted to ask about. But thanks for having me up.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.
Someone in chat said that I don't like eggplant. I'm uncertain if I have genital preference or not. Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate you. I think I saw you in chat. Can we mute?
Hello.
How you doing, Vanessa?
Not too shabby. How about you?
Doing all right. Hope you're having a good night.
You too.
Hello.
Hello. I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Yvonne.
Yvonne. How old are you, please?
I'm 30.
30. Fantastic. Which restroom should I use?
Well, I just kind of have a question about, like, when about in your transition did you start using the women's restroom, or when you felt comfortable to? It's more kind of what I was wondering.
That was a few years ago, 2, maybe 3 years ago, that I started using the women's restroom.
Because, I mean, I know that you're here for debates, but I mean, I'm a woman and I would have no issues seeing you in the restroom. I see there being more issues with you going into a male's restroom. But I just don't exactly understand where in the transition people feel comfortable, or like does it have to do at all with passing, or like how you feel? Like, I know it's a personal experience, but with what you've experienced, at least in the trans community, when do you feel like people go in? Is it more when they feel like they pass, quote unquote pass, or?
Typically, trans people are going to start presenting a certain way before we switch restrooms, because we're fully aware of what it looks like when we go into a restroom that we don't look like we belong to. We're fully aware of the risk that comes with that, and the fact that that we're more likely to be clocked if we don't pass. By using a different restroom, people are more likely to look at us a different way. So typically a trans person is going to start presenting a certain way first. I don't think that should be a requirement, but it would be my recommendation to all trans people for our own safety.
Well, yeah, because I get confused as to when, because there are people that transition and get their, bottom surgery and all their work done before maybe they're able to get, let's say, facial feminization or something like that. And if they have the parts, wouldn't it only makes sense to go where you have the parts? So that makes sense to me. I don't really understand all the discourse around it, but all the confusion, but I just wanted to know when you felt comfortable, and you answered my question. So,
all right, no problem. Yeah, for me, I had started wearing makeup, and I had a little bit of breast development, so that was when I started.
Where you felt confident, basically?
I wouldn't say confident necessarily, but
fake it till you make it. Hey, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for answering my question.
No problem. You have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Yeah, I got lifted up by my coworkers. The first time I used a women's restroom, it was at work, and the day before, because I'd been posting all about my transition very publicly on my Facebook page, where all my coworkers were, and I posted that the next major step in my transition for me at that time was using the women's restroom for the first time, and I didn't know if I could ever overcome that hurdle. It seemed insurmountable to me. And no less than 3 I walked up to the restrooms. The men's restrooms a little bit farther down the hallway than the women's. I walked past the women's, had my hand on the door, about to go into the men's. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I cannot open this door. Cannot go into the men's restroom ever again. I went into the women's, and the rest is history.
W. Love that for you.
It was nice. It was very nice.
Oh wait,
Hello, Ellie. How you doing?
I didn't mean to.
It's okay. It happens. Happens all the time.
I didn't want to just decline it, but I love your hair clips.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Have a good night.
Bye. Let's get my fan on phone so it doesn't melt. Hello, Sean. How you doing?
Belong in the men's bathroom.
How old are you, please?
I'm 30.
30. And what year were you born?
I was born in 94?
30, 94. Fantastic.
So close enough. I'll be 30 this year. So, anyways, yeah, you belong in the men's bathroom. You were born a man. You'll always be a man. If you ever end up in the men's bathroom with my kid in there, I'll fucking...
I was definitely not one. At no point have I ever been a man.
Adora drop.
If you ever end up in the women's bathroom with my daughter in there, that would be the end of it. I'll tell you that.
I didn't, whatever he said, I didn't hear it, but he's gone.
Yeah, he made a threat.
I tried to sing over it.
Hello, the Mad Bison. I love how I'm apparently the danger, but I get so many people coming up here making threats.
I'm in the middle of fucking talking. You just introduced me and you're talking.
What the fuck?
You have a good one.
Bitch.
I feel like another person was about to make a threat.
At least he gendered you correctly.
Yo, what's good?
Hello, Kaden. How you doing?
What's good?
How old are you, please?
19.
And what year were you born?
2005.
Fantastic. All right. Which restroom should I use?
Boys.
Why?
Because you look like a dude.
Because I look like a dude. So for you, the restroom that we use depends on how we look.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying then is men who look like women should use the women's restroom.
I mean, if there's two genders.
Not what I said at all. You want to try again?
Shut up.
Can someone come up and be serious? What the fuck?
Right? Oh my god. I see my Discord chat over here, guys. I'm sorry, I don't have Twitch chat open, so if you want a sane chat, Discord's your only option, guys.
Someone said, shut up, they Nessa. Thanks for affirming my gender.
Hello?
Hello, Johnny. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right?
Yeah, I think it's fine, and I think you could be whatever you want to be, and that's fine. But I just disagree if little kids are in the bathroom.
Okay, Johnny. How old are you, please?
53, 71.
53. Fantastic. Okay. So, which restroom should transgender girls go to?
I don't know any transgender girls.
I'm not asking if you know any. Like, there are 15-year-old there are 15-year-old transgender girls. Which bathroom should they use?
The girls' bathroom?
Sure. A girl should use the girls' bathroom. I agree.
Huh.
Why does that change for me? Well, like,
but I think
why
it's
not
kids that are young kids. It's people get... Well, okay, so for instance, there was this person I worked with, and he fully transitioned, which was fine. Nobody has a problem with it.
How did this
got
person
the
identify?
whole work done. He became a woman. He was Norm, and then he became a
She
woman.
was a woman. She didn't become a woman. She already was one.
Anyways, when she would go into the bathroom, like a lot of the older women, they would like freak out. They wouldn't even go in the bathroom.
That's a them problem.
You know, but then again, that's an everybody problem because you can't single out one problem.
No, it's just a them problem.
Why don't
She
we
doesn't
just
pose a
have
threat to them.
a men's
He doesn't pose a
woman,
threat to
a
them.
men's bathroom, a women's bathroom, and then an everybody bathroom?
Okay.
That would solve the whole problem.
I support gender neutral bathrooms, but that's not what we have right now. What we have right now
we
is
could have a children's
what we have right
bathroom.
now, Johnny. What we have right now is typically men's and women's restrooms. Typically.
Correct.
So right now,
Correct.
if I go to the grocery store up the street, they have a men's and a women's restroom. Which one should I use?
But they have locks on them and they're single bathrooms, so that's different.
Nope.
I'm talking
they do
about
not have
open
locks on
bathrooms.
them, and they are not single bathrooms.
Oh, where I live, they do.
Great, fantastic for your place.
I just, I don't
place
have an
doesn't.
issue except when little girls are around because, or vice versa. I don't know, you know, because they can always go in the stall, I guess.
Why
I don't
is
know.
it an
I don't
issue
know.
with
I'm
little?
trying to say, all I know is it's just different than when
Johnny.
I grew up. That's so it's all good.
Oh,
But you guys have a
sorry,
good
I'm-
thank
Johnny,
you.
are you gonna run?
Good night. God bless.
I'm mostly
Are you
muted.
too afraid
so
to
don't-
challenge yourself here?
Crazy.
Okay.
Oh, Johnny doesn't know how to leave.
All right, guys, keep tapping that screen. Share the live. If you are new to my live, say hi in chat.
Hi, Adora.
Hello, Brittany. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. How old are you, please?
I am 33.
33. Fantastic. Which restroom should I use?
So I actually have a complicated answer on that one. So I fully support trans people. And Adora, I think you're wonderful. I've watched your lives for a while. But my concern is, so like if I saw you walk into the women's restroom, I'd be okay with it. I watch you on TikTok. I know you fully identify as a woman. And I'd feel comfortable with you in the restroom with me. But as a woman who has been SA'd before, my concern is what now stops a male that identifies as a man that's into women. If they haven't fully transitioned where it's very obvious that they truly identify as a woman, what stops them from coming into the women's restroom and harming a woman?
What's stopping a gay man who intends to cause harm from doing so?
So, question for you, Brittany. What's stopping a man from causing harm in the men's room? As an SA survivor, should I be able to kick men into the men's room?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
As an SA survivor, should I be able to kick men into the men's room?
Should you be able to take man and...
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Should I be able to kick men into the men's room? Because it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I would, for you as well, it goes both ways for me. I worry about your guys' safety as well. If you don't realize that someone's fully transitioned, like, okay, a guy just comes in and says, oh, yeah, puts on a skirt or a dress and comes in the women's restroom, or, I'm sorry, trying to think how to put it for a guy's perspective. But either way, what would stop it? Like, shouldn't it be, I guess, obvious? Like, if coming from a woman's perspective, a man comes into the women's room, or, well, I guess, female woman.
I think you misunderstood my question. So I'm male. I use the men's room. Should I be able to kick men out of the men's room because I am a survivor?
I guess I am misunderstanding your question. Should you
So
be able to take...
Your argument is that that there's nothing, that if trans people have access to the space of our identities, there's nothing stopping men from going into a women's room and causing harm. Hot Dog is saying that there are men that cause other men harm.
That's true. That is true. I agree with that.
And there are women who cause other women harm. And people who intend to cause harm, they don't care about a sign on the door.
No, and I agree with that. And actually, I went through a situation about 10 years ago where I was in the women's restroom, and a man that I was with, that was male and identified as a man, I was hanging out with, he tried to come into the women's room and tried to SA me in the women's room. But he was stopped because it was obvious he was male and man. And that's...
Okay, I'm terribly sorry that happened. So let me ask you this, Brittany. If someone dresses up as you and commits a crime, are you responsible for that crime?
Absolutely not.
Right. So why are we going to hold trans people accountable for crimes being committed by cisgender people?
No, I don't think that you guys should be held accountable for that at all. It's not your fault that happens. But I know it's a reality that it could happen.
Can I also add that, like, you just demonstrated how someone can just go into the bathroom and they don't have to use trans people as a costume to do it?
Oh, they don't have to, but he was stopped because a worker at the restaurant saw him and came in and stopped him. I was like, wait a minute, what's this man doing going into the women's restroom? So he was stopped before anything happened, thank God.
But
okay, I guess again, it is... Typically speaking, this is not always, but typically speaking, a transgender person is going to be presenting a certain way before we start using the restroom that we're comfortable with. I don't think that should be a requirement. It is my recommendation for safety reasons. But typically, a trans woman is going to be presenting in some way that is associated with femininity before she uses the women's restroom. Typically. I don't think it should be a requirement, but that's how it normally is going to be.
Okay.
So when someone who presents fully male goes into the women's restroom, that is a possible red flag. Watch how they use the restroom. If they use the restroom in an abnormal manner, take care of yourself. And if they use the restroom as intended, leave them the fuck alone.
And in most places, it's not against the law for someone to use the opposite restroom.
No, I've been to places where it's, I'm in a crowded bar and the men's restroom is what's open and available, but there's usually someone outside the door. It's like, oh yeah, it's empty. You can go in. Like, they make sure it's clear. They don't just say, oh yeah, no, you could just go in, and yeah, they make sure it's clear before we go in. So, I've seen it happen where other sexes or genders can use the opposite bathroom in whatever the circumstance might be. But no, you guys presented different viewpoints on it that I had not thought about before. And I was kind of looking for some peace of mind it's just been a thought that's been running in my head of something I'm afraid of. But no, I appreciate your guys' viewpoints on it, and it gives me a different viewpoint on it as well. So
nice.
I appreciate that.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, next up. No connection.
Ashley, it's so funny how you think calling me Vanessa is going to hurt my feelings when you're affirming my gender.
So I have a question.
I need to know your age first, please.
I'm sorry, what?
I need to know your age first, please.
Oh, I'm 54.
Okay, fantastic. Go for it. What's your question?
Okay, my question is, how are we supposed to realistically, as women, gauge what is safe and not safe when someone of transgender enters the bathroom?
So,
how are we supposed to be educated on this?
If someone goes into a restroom and then they walk into a stall, they're probably good, unless they put a camera underneath the damn thing, which would be something worth doing something about. But yeah, if they go in, they wash their hands and dry their hands, and they're using the restroom in a way that would typically be appropriate for a restroom, there's no reason to be suspicious. But if they're just standing there staring awkwardly or doing something else that's creepy, doesn't matter what gender they are, doesn't matter how they look, if they're not using the restroom in a manner that is typical, it's pretty suspicious.
Now, I just want to say that, you know, I've visited places where there is a unisex bathroom, and there was times that I felt comfortable and times that, in other venues that I did not feel comfortable. And I've just come to the general consensus that the comfort level for people that are patrons, and we go into, I don't know, different establishments, it would just seem to me that the comfort level would be easier if we just designated a unisex bathroom and then had a women's and then a men's specifically designated where you can just enjoy yourself, have a good time, and then you don't have to worry about those kind of things. Are
Wait,
you opposed to
who
that?
who is enjoying themselves and having a good time in the restroom?
No, I
Like,
mean, you're actually visiting an establishment, you're spending money at the establishment, and you
okay.
just go in. I mean, there's legitimate choices where people feel comfortable, and so I'm just wondering, like, are you opposed to that?
Will trans
I
people still be able to use the women's and men's room?
Well, I mean, there's three options, right? There's one, women, men, and then unisex.
think
And
it'd
in
be easier and
California
cheaper to
they
just
have
make
that.
all bathrooms gender neutral.
What's that?
I think it'd be easier and cheaper to just make all bathrooms gender neutral and just say which bathroom has urinals, which one doesn't.
Well, I'm just going by the statute of California. I'm from the West Coast, and so California has that, and it's just always worked. It's always been, that way. There's not any kind of discomfort, and people feel free to do,
Sure. Yeah, I support gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay, that was my
But in,
question.
in in most establishments in the United States, we have a choice between men's and women's typically.
Right, and I feel like a third option is good.
I don't love the idea of a third option. Like as far as like men's, women's, gender neutral, I would prefer either men's and women's or gender neutral.
Okay, so that leads to my next question. Why does that make you pause at the third option?
I don't like the idea of restrooms that are designed for transgender people or with transgender people in mind. I want either for it to be an all-inclusive bathroom or I want to have men's and women's as we currently have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is why, though? Why
Transgender
does that
people, transgender people
matter?
are 4 times more likely to be a victim. Really,
Well, I mean, we could say the
so
same
they
thing
can go
about
assault
women,
them.
though. If there's a predator missed, they
Yeah, but
could prey on a woman or a man.
did you not hear how I said 4 times more likely than cis people?
Well, I just want to say this. I'm not sure about the statistics, but I know as a
I
woman
can bring the study
that,
up.
yeah, I mean, there's been several circumstances where I could have been physically attacked, and there was circumstances that could have, I mean, because signs lead. So I'm saying that circumstance could be just as high for women or men with the
It's
signs.
not.
I don't agree. I don't agree that it would
It's
just
not,
be no. I'm
Captain.
sorry. No, I won't
It's
agree with
not.
that. No, women are
Did you
sexually
not hear
assaulted every day, my friend.
did you not
No.
hear the previous guest that came up here and literally made threats?
Oh, I
We've had at
did.
least three
Women's
guests make
women
threats
are
to them.
subject to that, and so are men. I mean, both sexes are.
Yeah,
We
no
live in a
one's
world. No, we live in a.
Captain.
no one's denying that. It's just 4 times more likely for trans people.
I don't think it's 4 times more likely for just trans
Oh,
people. I mean, we could
can you?
bring out statistics for women and men
It
and
is,
trans.
Captain. Trans people are 4 times more likely to be assaulted than cis people
Why is that? I don't understand what you're
Because
saying
people
here,
because of
hate
because
trans
extreme
people.
transphobia.
where did those statistics come from? Because as a woman,
Thank you.
I can
F,
honestly say that there's like
FBI crime
6 times in my
statistics
life where
reign.
this has happened.
FBI crime statistics.
Yep.
It's called intersectionality. If you're a black person, for example, but you're also trans, That's and then you identify as a woman on top of that. That's like 3 levels of marginalization.
Mm-hmm.
The more marginalized you are, the more likely you're to be oppressed or ostracized, etc.
I'm sorry. I think those statistics are inaccurate because
Based
You
off
think
no, I'm just going by
Accurate,
my own
inaccurate.
experience, right? I'm just going by my own
Captain, your
experience.
own
Right. Your experience is
experience,
anecdotal.
What's that?
it's your experience versus hundreds of experiences.
Well, I mean,
Thousands.
also I've counseled other women and men, and I can
Still
honestly,
anecdotal, Captain. Still anecdotal.
Would you
I
like
don't
to provide
understand
a
what that
source for
means.
us? Would you like to provide a source? Prove us wrong.
Well, I'm saying from my own experience
Yeah, we don't
that.
care, but we don't
Your
care
own
about that.
experience
What do
doesn't
you
trump
mean you don't
FBI.
care about my own experience? That's
Yeah, because
rude.
we don't accept
Oh my god.
anecdotal as
That is
evidence.
so rude. What do you mean you don't care about people's
Rude.
Wait,
experiences?
hold on. We don't care about your experience in the context to prove us wrong about our
I'm not
FBI
trying to
crime
prove you
statistics.
wrong. No, I'm just talking about the comfort
No, you
level
are.
of
You're
people.
literally saying that you don't believe the information that we just gave you.
Yeah, that's accurate. I am saying that. I'm not denying that. I'm saying that I find it hard to believe. Okay, let me just word it that way. I find it hard to believe that women are at the bottom of the list on attacks. I'm sorry.
No
Okay,
one
They're
because
said
not.
history
That's
that.
not
does
a claim that
not
was made.
dictate that.
That
History
is
does
not a
not
claim that
No,
dictate
was
that
made.
women are at the bottom of the list on
That is
no
attacks.
one said
Captain.
that.
Captain.
Well, you're
Nobody said
making it
that.
sound like women are at the bottom of the list of sexual
No, you're
attacks.
misunderstanding what we said.
Well, please clarify that.
We're not
Because
saying.
history does not dictate that women are at the bottom of the list for
Some
sexual
trans people
attacks.
are women, Captain.
Your point is?
You're forgetting that when we say trans people are 4 times more likely to be assaulted, that does include women.
Well, you say you're women, so then you're at the same level, right?
No,
No,
no.
we're literally
Because
No,
talking about how they're
trans.
more
Captain,
likely.
okay. Captain, do
This
you know
is
what
where I get
intersectionality is?
confused. You claim you're woman, so then you have
Do
to
you
line
know
up
what
with the statistics.
intersectionality is?
No, I'm sorry. If you say you're a woman, then you have to line
You're
up with
ignoring
the
my question.
statistics of women,
You're
right?
ignoring my question.
What's your question?
Do you know what intersectionality is?
No, you will have to explain that to me. I will not try to say I know
Sure.
something I don't.
It's when multiple parts of the human, it's when multiple parts of your experience combine. For instance, I am a white woman. Therefore, I have the privilege of being white, but I am a woman, and so that intersects. I'm a transgender woman. So I have the experiences of being a woman, and I have the experiences of being transgender. Those things intersect. So my struggles as a woman are compounded by the fact that I am also transgender.
Okay.
But I'm not struggling on account of being white. This is how all my different characteristics combine to create my personal experience, where everything intersects. So the fact that I'm a woman plays a role in how I'm treated by society. The fact that I'm trans plays a role. But these things they're not parallel to each other. They cross.
Yeah, so it's one thing to be a woman, like using a bathroom and fearing that you're gonna be assaulted, but when you add trans to that equation, the number goes up. It jumps.
So I'm going to have to agree with you guys on this. So what I'm saying is, let's go back to the beginning of what I was suggesting. Wouldn't it be reasonable that there would be a third option for bathrooms, and then let's just say a security guard was
No,
enforced?
Security guards aren't going to
no,
happen.
no.
I
You
mean,
think that a small
We live
restaurant is going to hire a security guard to stand there all the way through operating hours? No.
well, I mean, something needs to be done, right? Something needs
Yeah,
to be
no,
done in
nothing needs
order
to be
to
done.
ensure
trans people have
comfort and
No,
access.
security.
actually, Captain, nothing needs to be done.
Why?
Trans women should just be able to use the women's restroom.
Yep.
They already
Nothing
So
have
needs to be
been.
done.
you're only, so there's no compromise is what you're saying.
Oh, the
Exactly.
compromise.
No, I
That was
want
The,
there to be a
the
compromise because I
compromise. The
care about you
compromise.
guys.
The
No.
compromise is let women use the trans women
You
use the women's
can't just
restroom.
make it black or white. There needs to be a reasonable
Captain,
outcome where
they
you're
have been
protected
using
and we're protected.
the women's restrooms for as long as they have existed.
Listen, my friend, I'm from the West Coast. I'm not an idiot. I understand what you're saying.
They have been
That's
using the women's restroom for as long as
But
women's
some
restrooms have
women
existed.
do not feel comfortable with that.
Yo,
And
you need to
so, in
stop
order to
yelling over
protect
me.
all people,
Okay, Captain, you need to let Hot Dog finish.
okay.
As soon as you start yelling, you lost the argument. So
Well, I'm not yelling. I'm just
you
trying to
are
get
yelling
across.
over me.
Captain,
Dude, you don't want to, you
please let
don't
Hot
want,
Dog
you're just saying it's
finish.
my way or the highway.
just let them finish. Just let them finish.
Okay.
Trans women have been using the women's restrooms for as long as women's restrooms have existed.
Yeah, we've always been there. It hasn't
It
been a
only
problem.
became
It's been a problem for us because we get assaulted. Hasn't been a problem for cis people.
Why would that not be a problem for us? Of course, that's a problem.
why
Why?
hasn't it been for 100 years?
You
Literally.
know, literally, I was like I said, I'm raised on the West Coast. I'm from Seattle, so I have a lot of friends, and I have a wide pool of friends. I would have been very upset if any of my friends had been assaulted.
Sure, but what does that have to do with the trans community?
Captain, how old are you?
I told you I'm 54.
Why haven't you cared for 54 years?
What do you mean I haven't cared for you? Don't
Ooh,
know me.
ooh,
When did you
ooh.
start caring?
What are
Yeah,
you
when did you
asking
start?
me? Well, like, when
When
did
did
I
you
start
when
caring as a human being
No, no,
about
no.
other
Hang on,
human
Captain,
beings? That's
Captain.
crazy.
Hang on. You're misunderstanding. It's okay. It's okay. When did you start caring if transgender people were using the restroom with you?
Dude, in the 80s. In the 80s. I'm
You cared in the
See?
54.
Okay,
What
so
are
you've
80s.
you
been
talking
fighting.
about? When
You've
I
been
was a
fighting this
teenager.
for 40 years.
I was a teenager. What are you talking about? When did I
You've been
start
fighting
caring?
against transgender people using the restroom for 40 years.
No, you're making it about do I
Oh
care
my
about
god.
it? No, that's
No, you're
Captain,
that's inaccurate.
you haven't
Captain.
understood a
Why
single thing we're
can't you guys
saying.
hear what a woman is
Okay,
saying?
Captain, this is why you're not understanding anything we're
No,
saying.
I feel like you're not
No. This
understanding.
right here,
Women
what
are
you just
trying to
did,
reach out to you. You're
is why
obviously on
you're not
TikTok.
understanding anything. Okay, Captain.
Listen, we come to your
No, listen,
profile.
that's ironic. Okay, I've muted you, Captain. So if you continue to talk, there's no point because you're muted. The reason that you're not understanding anything that we're saying is because you're not listening. And if you don't listen, there's no opportunity for you to learn. There's no opportunity for you to respond in a reasonable manner. You have misunderstood the point that is being made over and over and over because you interrupt us rather than listen. You can unmute. I'll send you an invite to unmute.
All right. Well, I'm sorry if I was talking over you.
It's okay. I accept.
I apologize.
Captain, when did you start worrying about the fact that trans women were using the women's restroom? When did it become a problem for you?
Okay, see, now respectfully, I would like to say this. Your question is formed in a very derogatory manner.
That's so funny. You're so
When did
funny.
it what?
It
When did it become a
is.
problem for
It's an
you?
attacking manner.
Is it because you
Is
know
it
that if
not a
you answer
problem?
that
Wait,
honestly,
hold
we're
on.
going.
Is it not a problem for you that trans women use the women's restroom?
I'm sorry because my volume was turned down. Can you repeat that?
Is it not a problem for you that trans women are using the women's restroom?
That's not the question of whether it's a problem for me.
Is
We
it a
were
problem for
talking.
you, yes or no?
The problem is not me personally.
Oh my
The
god.
problem is that, you guys are, yeah, okay, well, I'm sorry. Excuse me for that. We're having a conversation about, protection for trans women, right?
No.
No.
We are. I'm not sure that you are.
No, you said I use a women's restroom, and then that obviously leads to other questions, correct?
It is sure. It is safer for trans women to use the women's restroom. It's safer for trans men to use the men's restroom.
You
Okay, so
still
we're
haven't
having this,
answered though, Captain. Is
right?
it a
So we're
problem
having,
for you?
okay,
Is it a
now you're
problem
talking
for
over
you?
me. Now you're talking over me, and you're telling me
We,
my
you
own
know, we see what
feelings.
we see what you're doing. You know that, right?
No, I'm not.
Captain, you're not answering the question.
You're
Okay, what is the
deflecting so
question?
hard.
No, I honestly have a question.
Captain, can
Why
you
is it
answer the
hard?
question?
You're doing it again. You're doing it again. Just answer the
Can you
question.
just answer the question?
Go ahead.
Is it a problem for you, yes or no, that trans women use the women's restroom?
It's a problem for me as a woman because I feel like there's a third option. Yes.
Okay, when did it become a problem for you?
I guess whenever people encroached on my personal space.
When did you decide it was a problem for you?
I think it's a problem for me because the government doesn't allow.
Oh my God!
When did
You're
your
not answering the question.
You're avoiding the
I'm
question.
answering the question. You just don't
No,
like
you're
the
not.
answer.
Hot dog said when.
What do you mean when?
When did it become a
Exactly
problem for
that.
you?
Caring.
What? Give me a
I don't
year.
have a time and date if that's what you're asking. I thought we
Give
were
me a
talking about
year.
the issue at hand.
Just give me
Approximately when?
Can you give me a year, a decade?
Why is this important to you? Why can't we just discuss the
Can you?
matter and come up with a
So you don't
reasonable?
know?
See, you
When
don't the problem here is I can disagree agreeably and you cannot.
Dude, just answer
Captain,
the
last
question.
chance. Answer the question. Last chance.
When
I've
did it become a
answered the
problem for you?
question, I feel like. I
Okay,
just don't
that
think
was the
you
last
like the
chance.
answer.
All right. A couple people asked for a close up on my tattoo. Got some trans pride butterflies. We got a rainbow ribbon going throughout. Lesbian pride butterfly. Some lesbian cocoons down at the bottom. Skull.
Oh, people saying maybe self ID. That's what being trans is. All being trans is self ID.
Literally.
And she
It's
was
self
dancing.
identification.
Trans.
She was dancing around the question because she knew it would prove our point correct.
Gray Skull in chat.
Hello.
Hello, Edith. How you doing?
Kid.
How old are you, please?
I'm 19.
19. Fantastic. What are your thoughts on the topic?
I'm trans myself, and a lot of time I feel super nervous, but I'm like, at what point do you end up switching over to going into your preferred restroom?
For me, it was after I had started making a bit of a social transition. My breasts had started to develop a bit, and they were to the point where they were starting to get noticeable. I had started to wear makeup. I had come out to my coworkers, and I had acceptance from my coworkers. That's when it was for me.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that it's a matter of passing, or do you think it's a matter like I know passing is like everyone has a different idea of that. So like, what do you think that we can come to as a society as far as accepting people for their like expressed identity? You know?
Yeah, I think requiring passing would be incredibly problematic, and it would hurt cisgender people as well as transgender people. I don't think that any amount of passing is required to use the restroom of your identity.
Right. Do you think that, well, I think that, like, when we think of passing, we think of, like, the stereotype that you have to look cis, blah, blah, blah. I think that's problematic, but I'm like, do you think that society as a whole can recontextualize passing to be, like, perceived gender identity expression rather than, like, you look like you have all the secondary sex characteristics of, like, male or female binary?
I don't like that either, because I don't think there's a right way to look like a woman. I don't think there's a right way to dress like a woman. So I don't like the idea of any type of look determining if you belong in a women's or a men's restroom.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I was curious. I was listening to the last thing about a third option. I don't like that either. But it made me think about non-binary people. What about those people that don't know how to pick either one and don't know what they pass as, etc.?
I wouldn't say that non-binary people don't know how to pick. I suppose I'm non-binary people on the panel speak.
So I'm non-binary. It's not about not knowing how to pick. We just aren't man or woman.
Well, right, yeah. I'm saying in like a system where we don't have like a third bathroom in every single like facility. You know, I'm like,
you meant bathrooms, men or women. Got it.
yeah.
I think it would depend on the non-binary person. We're not all the same. Like, we have unique experiences. Like, me personally, I was assigned female at birth, but I'm non-binary, and I used the women's for safety reasons. I just wouldn't feel safe going to the men's bathroom. That's the only reason why I don't use it.
I wish that we all had a private, like, gender-neutral restroom everywhere, but not for the reason that like trans people need to go in there. I think that trans people should go into the restroom that they prefer, but I also think that we should have third options for the people that don't want to go into a gendered restroom, you know. And I think private options, because at that point it's just free reign. I don't think a bathroom is a private, like a safe space anyways, you know.
Yeah, personally, I advocate for gender neutral bathrooms that have doors, that have deadbolts, and there's no gaps in the on the floor and the ceiling. Like, they're properly sealed off rooms, and then we just have a general wash area. That's what I would love to see, personally.
So say you have someone looks very physically intimidating, whatever they're born as, and they're going into the restroom where they know that they're probably scaring people regardless of the gender they are. Do you think that that should affect whether or not we have a private space or not? Or is that like, we should all just accept that a bathroom is a very unsafe space because of the lack of cameras and the like genitals being out, etc., you know?
I mean, bathrooms are definitely unsafe spaces. We can change society. We can change culture. We can get rid of this boys will be boys culture. Teach boys not to assault. Teach boys not to cause harm. That will make people safer. That'll make everyone safer. That'll make not just women safer, not just trans people safer. It'll make men safer too.
I agree. I wish that we accepted that our bathroom system in general is not safe, and it has nothing to do with trans people.
Agreed.
I think a lot of the discourse I see about this is cis women like being anxious about trans women coming into the women's restrooms. I don't see a lot of discourse about trans men going into the men's restroom, etc. And I feel like a lot of this is the general fear of men, etc. Is that like, how do cis women work through that as far as like trans women go? You know, I'm like, what can they do? What work do they need to put in? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know how to advise my friends who are cis and have this like this fear, you know, like I want to help people instead of like make an argument with them and like,
sure.
You know?
If they're willing, it can be helpful to have them listen to trans people. Not everyone is willing. You can always just explain the basics. Thank you so much for the little crown. I appreciate it. Just explain that trans people are just people trying to get by. We don't pose a threat to anyone.
Yeah, so I think another thing I notice is people getting caught being in the restroom, and someone like say for example someone got their gender wrong, like maybe they didn't pass to the person that was concerned, blah blah blah, and they get in trouble, and then they're like, no, I'm a trans woman, blah blah blah, like I'm not here for any harm. What should we do in that case? Because I feel like
if someone breaks the rules, if someone is doing something inappropriate, something that's against the law, they should be punished, ideally. In the ideal world. I mean, the reality is that I don't trust the police as far as I can throw them. I'm firmly Team ACAB. But we do have rules against certain behaviors. Thank you so much for the glasses. I broke my glasses last week, guys. I had to buy new ones.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it seems like the overall solution is just to realize that restrooms are not safe. Like, in general, like, the world sucks and there are scary people, and it has nothing to do with, like the notion that, like, it's a female space and it's safe, etc. No, it's not, if you think about it. It's like, we don't have cameras in those places. Like, people like undress behind those stalls. Like none of these places are somewhere where we should like experience like safe femininity. Like I feel like that's a really bad agenda that has developed over time, you know, and it might have to do with the perception that all women in the women's restroom are going to have a vagina, etc.
Yeah, the misconception, the misunderstanding of what sex and gender is. Edith, I appreciate you so much. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I think that was it. I agree with y'all. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. You have a good one.
Too.
Bye. All right, guys. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Or I'm gonna log off. I should say. I don't know if I'm gonna go to bed, but I'm done with the live. Tomorrow is opening night of the WNBA, and I'm not missing it. The Indiana Fever, their tip off is 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going with my friends to watch it, so tomorrow night's live is probably not going to happen. Tomorrow morning's live is going to happen as scheduled. Thank you so much for the fireworks. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. But yeah, go Indiana Fever.
Yeah, let's go, Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll go live again.
All right.
Maybe.
Good night, everyone.
Listen, night.
Good night.